Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of Sister-Cousins. COVID-19, aka the Rona. Is this our new normal? And if so, are you ready? So today's topic is we're going to talk about COVID-19 statistics in the states that we are in. And I'm pretty sure that our audience can do their own research and see how the statistics are either increasing or decreasing in the states and the counties that they live in. I live in Washington State, and the population of Washington State in 2019 was 7.62 million people. This year, we've had a total of 27,192 cases of coronavirus. Of that 27,000, there has been 1,245 deaths in Washington State. If you go percentage-wise, that is 5% of the population or whatever. So, well, yeah, it's 5% of the population. And so, I guess depending on how you look at it, for me, any deaths that weren't, people weren't sick is too many deaths. And so it's pretty scary that people have to die from a virus that, nobody expected to happen or was coming. And so I went further. In our state, the largest county is King County, which people know as Seattle. The population in Seattle in 2019 was 2.25 million people. And in Seattle, there was 9,154 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and 601 deaths. That ends up being like 7%. So 7%, I think, is still a lot on a bigger scale. Maybe, people don't think so much, but 7% I think is a lot. And I live in Skagit County. The population in Skagit County in 2019 for me is 129,205 people. We had 482 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and 15 deaths. That percentage is 3%. So what you guys looking like in your states? Lana, you want to go?
Okay, so Florida is where I currently live at in the great state of Florida. We have
the next hot spot.
I know, really. We have about 21 million people here in Florida. Now these stats are current as of today. We have over 98,000 positive residents with COVID-19. We've had over 3,173 deaths just in the state alone. In the county that I stay in, which is Leon County, we have 587 cases currently. 554 of those are actually residents of this county. And then we've had a total of 8 deaths. Some other interesting facts that I pulled on this, that 275, which is 50%, are actually African American. Mm-hmm. There's 183, which is 33%, which is Caucasian, and then 17% or 17, which is 3%, is another race. So another interesting thing I pulled was that females are more likely to get this in our area. So 53% of females have been affected with COVID-19, and 47% of them have been males. So to me, I'm scared. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, if I look at the stats and realize that the numbers are increasing. Now, I had pulled these stats on the 20th, and we had 91,000 people in Florida who had positive cases. In 2 days, it went up to over 98,000. So it's running rapid here. So it's I don't know. It's a scary situation to be in.
But I think about the population in your county. What was the number in your county again?
I didn't pull the stats for my county. I just pulled for Florida overall. But for Florida overall, we have about 21 million people in Florida. We probably have over 200,000 in the county that I stay in.
Jeez, that's a lot. What's going on in Mississippi? Hump back.
Well, you know, in bumfuck Mississippi, we try to do things on a grand scale. But so total in the state of Mississippi, we've had 20,641 confirmed cases of COVID-19. However, we have had 15,323 people who have recovered from COVID-19.
All right.
So total statewide, we have 938 deaths, which is still, any loss of life is a loss of life, so we don't want that at all. In Madison County, which is the county that I currently live in, we've had 832 confirmed cases and 29 deaths. And then I'll talk about the county that I work in, which is Yazoo County, because I basically live at work and visit home. And Yazoo County has 361 confirmed cases and 6 deaths. And I'm pretty confident that those confirmed cases were at my workplace.
Wow.
Because of the type of work that I do and where I work, it's like a petri dish. But one of the things that I read up on in my research is it hasn't been confirmed, but it's been like 9 out of 15, this has been the case. People with the blood type of O are less likely to contract COVID-19. This was a news article last week, so they're still doing studies, but they were saying like 9 out of 15 people who were tested, if they had the blood type of O, they were less likely to contract COVID-19. Didn't give as many details as to why, but I just found it interesting, and I am O positive. Let's go.
I'm A positive, so
I'm gonna say I'm B positive, so
y'all hit. But one of the things I wanted to, say about this COVID-19 is, though there is I don't have any documentation to show that all of us have been affected by it directly, but I do truly believe that we were. As you know, earlier this year, my mother was extremely sick. She was in the hospital and she was on a ventilator for 2 weeks. Her kidneys failed. She's now on dialysis. Her heart rate was pumping at 20% functionality. So it was a lot going on. At the time of her hospitalization, they were not testing for COVID-19 because it wasn't something that we were dealing with at the end of January, though we found out later that we were dealing with it at that time. But from what I've read and what I've seen on the news and listened to and heard, a lot of the things that she dealt with are what COVID-19 patients are going through. At the end of her hospitalization, she wasn't tested for it or for the antibodies, for the simple fact that with all of her other health issues, she wouldn't be able to donate her blood anyway. But I truly believe in my heart of hearts that she was affected by COVID-19. So I'm thankful and grateful that she's here, because, that was a lot. But we have had someone in my agency that I work for, we've lost 2 staff in our agency. We have a lot of employees in our agency, but we've lost 2 staff in our agency to COVID-19. We've lost some of our population to COVID-19. We have a lot of hot spots in our agency across the country, not necessarily in hot spot states or anything, but because of it being a prison, it's basically a sitting pot in a petri dish for something to happen. So I think about that a lot. But when I think about, and I listen to, the statistics that you provided, Lawanda, and the statistics that Joanna provided in that one little inkling of how African Americans are a higher percentage in your state, I do remember hearing something on the news that we are more likely to contract COVID-19 than other demographics.
And that's probably because of the quote unquote Black hereditary diseases or whatever. A lot of people have those underlying diseases. Another thing I thought about when Joanna talked about the ratio, I think it was 53% of females. Well, the women are dealing with the kids. The kids are, in school, and, they run around here, run around there. So if you're in contact with your children, it's more than likely, you at the grocery store, you're at the laundromat. And so, those statistics do make, quite a bit of sense. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people are asymptomatic. I believe, like you say, that everybody either had it or has it, and maybe you just don't, display the symptoms of it. Right. You can be a carrier and pass it on to people when you don't even know. My husband and I, we were tested. This was probably about maybe about a month and a half ago, and we were, thank God we were negative. But I know a lot of people who have been affected by it. I have a sorority sister, her mom, she was an elderly lady in her 80s. She passed away from COVID, but her mom, her father, and her sister, they all had it. Her father just recently came home from the hospital, and her mother died about a month and a half ago. And so I have another sorority sister. She and her mom and her niece just tested positive for it. You think that, the states are opening up and, giving a little bit more leeway. This virus is not gone away. And I just don't understand how you have some people who think that this is a fluke, or that it's not real, or that it cannot affect you or somebody in your family. Now, I don't wish anything bad on anybody, but when you don't take things like that serious, or people are not wearing masks, your mask protects me, my mask protects you. So if you don't want a mask, that means you're saying that you don't care about me. And so I feel some kind of way because, if you can't protect me, I'm willing to protect you, because I don't want to be sick. I don't want to pass on my sickness to you, and I definitely don't want yours.
Right.
We have to take this a little bit more serious. This is a very real virus. Now, how it got here and all the other stuff behind it, that is what it is. But people are dying, and African Americans are dying at a higher rate than any other race. And so I take things very serious, to the point where, I don't want to go to church. Not because I don't love church or love my people. Y'all ain't wearing no mask. So everybody's singing, and, you got every time I see an example, they have that little Alexa,
with the little particles.
Yeah. And so when you see all in my, it's all in my hair. I'm just like
all your DNA everywhere.
It's messing up your wig. It's messing up your wig.
Your clothes everywhere.
Listen, I just want to point out, as an alibi from last week, that Target requires all customers to wear a mask before entering the store.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest. I'm just going to put it out there. I have a love-hate relationship with masks. For one, I've worked in the medical profession for a long time, military-wise and outside, even on the civilian side. And people are wearing them wrong, and that irritates me even more than people who wear them right. And second of all, if you don't have an N95 mask, I mean, literally, I put it this way. A friend of mine, and I think a friend of mine had told me about it, but I think she saw it on Facebook. It said, if a fart can go through your pants, now what makes you think that Corona can't go through a mask? So it's like, I mean, I get it. I feel like I'm being suffocated every time I put one on. So I just choose to stay at home. I don't want to go nowhere. I don't want to be around you and make you sick. I don't want you to make me sick. I just stay in the house.
A fart is a gas, okay? A gas is different than
it's still a particle. It is a particle. If it can go through a pair of blue jeans, what makes you think Corona can't go through a mask?
And listen, you can smell breath.
And then the other issue that I have with that is that how many people who have these cotton masks, how many are using filters? Or are you just wearing a cotton mask? So it's like,
my mask has a filter.
And how often do you change it? And do you wash your mask every time you come in the house?
Yes, and along with
every time you leave, every time you come, you should wash your mask and change your filter. Now you can leave the house 5 or 10 times a day. Guess what? You're supposed to be washing 10 times a day and changing your filter 10 times a day.
I have several masks. I have several in my car, and I keep some at home just in case I walk out and forget that I have them. So speaking about masks, depending upon the kind that you have, it can be very irritating. So I went to church, I think 2 services in a row, I think a Sunday and a Wednesday. And I had a mask that technically covered, all you see are my eyes, it technically covers my whole face. And it's a really good fitting one because it goes behind the head versus the one behind the ears. So the one behind the ears irritate me to death because they moving around and I can't stand it. I wear glasses sometimes when I drive or I'm trying to see something. If you talk, those glasses are fogged up. However,
that's because your breath hot.
Well, hey, I just found out that there is a such thing as mask breath, and there are people whose breath can be smelled through the mask. So now I feel you on that, Dewana. If I can smell your breath, it's a problem with that. I don't know. I'm just saying. So the third time I went to church, instead of using my cotton mask, I and actually this one it's not an N95, but we have these people at my job. They work with these PPEs, and it's special kind or whatever. However, it's hard to see in your nose. You know what I'm saying? It's suffocating. So I wear the little the disposable ones. It's a little bit more breathable or whatever. So and I'll talk more about that when we get on into the episode, because I have another profession where I have to wear one the entire day, and it was just rough for me.
So, I mean, I get it. I'm not saying, I'm taking precautions, but I would rather stay at home than have to go through all that. I mean, just to be honest. And another thing, let me tell you what happened to me we was at Costco yesterday, and someone came up to me and was like, "Hey, how you doing? I don't recognize you in a mask. I don't know who you are." I do not know who you are in a mask, like literally. So I'm sitting here racking my brain trying to figure out who this person is, because they're talking to me now. That we were still doing the social distancing thing, but I'm like, I got nothing. I don't even know who you are. Everybody's hair is pulled back, all the masks is covering up everything but your eyes. I don't even know who my friends are anymore. So I don't know. This whole thing is just really just makes me want to not even leave my house, because I'm like, I don't want to have to deal with this. I don't want to have to I feel like I'm suffocating anytime I go outside. I feel like I can't recognize my friends if they come up to me, and then we got to stand 6 feet apart. So I already nearsighted. So it's like, I just stay at home. Just call me. Okay. Call me.
Listen, about those masks and not knowing who folks is, I'm surprised we ain't heard more stuff on the news talking about somebody that ran up in somewhere with the mask on. You know what I'm saying? Certain places, these will have on no mask in certain places you visit. I ain't gonna say no names. I don't want to give anybody no ideas, but I'm just saying.
Right.
I don't know. Listen, I don't have a problem with it. I don't want your little bubble particles on me. Y'all know I'm that girl. I don't want. Every time I'm at church like this, I'm like, Jesus, please keep the bubbles off of me. Just let them just go around me.
You're not even
I try to sit in the back.
You don't need to go to church. You really don't need to go. You just need to stay at home.
My pastor told me, unless I got an underlying condition, honey, we need to be there.
I mean, I get that. I was like, I just started going back to church, and I'll be honest, and there's a reason for that, because I felt like, the numbers are still going up. I'm not, I feel some kind of way about that. Not that I don't miss fellowship with my church family, because I do. But I literally, Sunday was the first time I had been since March. And it's like, I'm in that in-between mood. Do we not hug? People afraid to touch you. They afraid. It's like, this whole thing is just throwing me for a loop. It's like, I can't even enjoy church, because now I got to people sitting 6 feet apart from me. Like, we got to wave, wave from the other side of the thing. It's like, I'm not used to this. It's like, I'm not used to this. I'm not being able to, hug my friends or whatever like that. So it's like, I get it. Be safe, be cautious. I will wear my mask if I'm out and about. I ain't trying to make nobody sick. I don't want nobody to make me sick. But I just personally choose to stay at home because I don't want to be bothered with it.
And that's the alternative. And I can appreciate that if I live in Florida. Listen, in the Black church though, they ought to be happy that Corona is here, because every time, touch your neighbor and tell them this, shake your neighbor's hand and kick your neighbor in the neck. It's like, look, dude, I don't want to touch my neighbor. I don't know that lady, and I know she don't know me. My hands sweat. She don't want to shake my hand. My hands is wet. You know what I'm saying? Listen,
well,
how is your church set up though? I mean, like, what is the procedure for church in your state?
In my state? So here's the deal. There's controversy, okay? I belong to a predominantly Caucasian church, and they feel that their rights are being violated by our governor because there are stipulations on church. First, I think there was something, if you have parking lot church, you can't get out your car, you can't eat. It was just a whole bunch of crazy things, right? whatever. However, number one, the church is not a building. The church is the people. Okay. There was a meme on Facebook that said the church has never been closed because church is not a building. The church is the
Right.
people. We do have a right to assemble and forsake not the assembly of God. I understand that. I don't personally don't think the Lord is going to be like, you going to hell because you didn't go to church during COVID-19. That's just my personal preference. There's more creative ways. Okay, so if you just live streaming via YouTube or via Facebook, okay, maybe not. But there's always Zoom. You can see it just like I see y'all. Y'all can see me. If you go spend the money, to me, it's like if you want the people to be safe, you have to follow the regulations of the experts or whatever. I'm not into politics. I don't like politics. And so I'm not exactly sure where all of the, where they feel that the rights have been violated because they're passing down rules or laws and saying that you can't, if you go to church, you have to wear masks. To me, it's just like outright defiance. That's just my personal opinion. I'm sure people at my church will say different. However, I waited a couple of weeks before they went back because I'm like, I'm Black. I don't want to get sick. I knew that there was a higher rate for Black people catching corona. And if for those people who really feel that the coronavirus is not real and it's a hoax and yada, yada, I don't wish nothing bad on you, but you get a little touch of it and see how you feel about it after that. You know what I'm saying? Even if I don't have any underlying conditions, I don't want to be sick. Who want to feel like they can't breathe? I don't want to feel like that.
And what I'm finding out, most people who don't believe it's real or just who have issues with it, a lot of people don't really understand the significance or the magnitude of it until it's touched them personally.
That's what I'm saying.
Like with Joanna, wearing masks is not something that I want to do, but I have no choice. Like, I have to wear it just to get into my job. I have to wear it throughout the day if I'm going into a public area outside of my office. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of, it's uncomfortable because I promise you, I don't have no runny nose, but the masks, they make your nose run. And every time my nose start running, that means I gotta throw the mask in the garbage. So now I feel like my nose run, like I'm gonna take the mask off and it's gonna be snot on my upper lip. I can't take no chances.
That's really nasty. So listen, that's a perfect segue. You mentioned in your workplace is a perfect segue into, it is our mask, are the precautions that we're taking for COVID-19. Is this the new normal and are we ready? Okay, so let's talk about the workplace. Actually, at my job, everybody was scheduled to come back to work today. However, there have been some increased cases in our county. And so the person in charge of where I work, they decided it's like, okay, we got to call this off. We don't want anybody sick. And so we're just gonna wait it out until we wait it out. So the rules that we had to follow if we were starting back today, everybody has to wear a mask all day unless you're in the office by yourself. Obviously, you don't have to have that in your own office. We installed some plexiglasses over the counters where the public comes in. So that's an extra protection. We still have to have on our masks. We have the protection from the public. They did encourage, for people like myself, I telework. If you can telework, they encourage you, to still be able to work from home if you could. Some other places that I read about, there will be some routine screening at the door. Now, I know when I have taken a few doctor's appointments, and they had that thermometer where they check your temperature. It was a touchless thermometer where they tested to make sure you didn't have a temperature before you came in. And so I'm grateful to have my own office. Actually, everybody that I work with, we're pretty, in my office in finance, we're pretty spaced out. 1, 2, 3, 4 of us have our own office. And then the other 2, we have a conference room where one person is currently working. And so it's like their own office. So everybody's kind of separated. But I had gotten permission, hey, can I wait a week and a half, let everybody, come back, let y'all breathe all the air first, all the stuff and see how it's going to work out. And then I will come. Again, I am the only person I ain't gonna say a person of color. I am the only African-American person in my workplace. And so everybody else is fancy free and I'm the one that's coughing and hacking and can't breathe or whatever. So it's definitely a difference or whatever. So you guys have any regulations where you work, Joanna?
Well, in the beginning, of course, once this thing everything was shut down, we transitioned to working from home. Since things are opening back up, we've kind of transitioned back into the workplace, but in our office, everything is pretty much spread out. Pretty much everyone has their own place to work. Most of us have our own offices. They don't require that we wear masks. However, if you feel more comfortable to wear it, then they're for that. They've also purchased hand sanitizer. They make sure we scrub down everything every day. So, I think they're doing their due diligence. I don't feel like they put any, I don't feel like they're not taking precautions. Let's just say that. They've given us an option to continue to work from home, or if we want to, go back to work full time, it's up to you. So I like that about the organization, is that they have given us those options. But I think for the most part, they're doing their due diligence. I mean, no one in our office has decided that they want to wear masks, or, we are cleaning. We are still, making sure we wash down everything every day once we leave. We don't have that many people. Like, we kind of stagger who is in the office, so everybody's not in there at once. We do a lot of Zoom meetings or team meetings. So yeah, I'm fine with what's in the workplace, but I do have some friends who, like, literally, some of them have either gone both ways. I have one friend who works at an agency where they are not required to wear masks, and they don't want masks being worn in their office. And this is an issue for this particular person because she's afraid she might get this, And then I have one person who's like, yeah, our boss said we have to wear masks. So they have to wear masks 8 hours a day while they're working. So I'm glad that our office is flexible and we can choose what we decide we want to do.
I think choice, everybody has, the freedom to do whatever. Again, it's just, to me, I think if I was, if I in my workplace, if they said that we didn't have to, or you had a choice, if I was in a room with someone sharing the same breathing space and air, I would have a problem with that. So one thing I told my staff is, like, we all have our own offices, but every few hours we're gonna Lysol the air, wipe down with bleach wipes, everything that we're touching. And we probably need to do that a couple times a day. We going to the restroom, you closing the door, making sure we wipe down the doors, maybe making sure people take turns, cleaning the bathroom and surfaces or whatever. And, the thing is if you, if you live with a person or whatever, you guys just stayed in the house together, then nobody would get sick. But it's when people go to their separate locations, you just never know when things are going to
come back. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the scary part for me. And like they say, we've gotten so many mixed thoughts and ideas about the mask. At first they said don't wear masks, and they said wear a mask, and they said you have to have N95, and it says as long as you have a cloth. So you don't really know what to do or what to choose or how. However, it makes sense to me. If you sneeze, it's not saying that the mask is going to capture everything, but it minimizes how many of those little bubbles are in the air. So to me, it makes sense. If you can minimize whatever, that's what you do. So
and I'm gonna just say before you go there though, but as far as the mask go, I did have a friend who actually got sick from wearing the mask too much, because you do need oxygen to kind of filter out some of these particles in your body. So just to say, I understand the whole mask thing. I get it. But there's some things that I see that I don't get. Like, for example, I was at the stoplight the other day. This guy was in his car by himself with a mask on.
About to pass out.
Why? I was on a Zoom meeting. Look, I was on a Zoom meeting with a panel of people now, about 6 or 8 people. This guy was in his home, in his office, in his room by himself with his mask on, speaking to us via Zoom. And I'm thinking, is Ronavirus? Is it viral now? I mean, can it jump through the computer? Because this makes no sense to me. Am I the only one who thinks this is weird? I mean, it's craziness like that. It's like, okay, you guys are doing the most. Let's just step back and really think about what we're doing here. I think my biggest complaint with that is look, I'm all for being cautious. I'm all for taking the necessary precautions that you need to do to protect you and your family. What I don't want to do is walk around in fear, and I refuse to do that. I'm not going to stop living my life. Yes, I will do things a little bit different, but I'm not going to stop living my life because I'm scared I'm going to get corona. I'm not going to do that. So just say, I'm going to still be me. I'm going to still do yes, I will still take precautions, but I can't sit at home and be afraid. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. But I can't live in fear. I just can't do it.
So for us, the agency that I work for, it is a requirement that you have to wear your mask to come into the office. When you're in public areas, you have to wear your mask. So for instance, we spoke about I work in human resources. So if I'm interviewing, I have to provide masks to the applicant, and I have to interview them wearing a mask. Let me tell you, our interview process takes anywhere from 3 to 8 hours.
Oh wow!
In a mask.
Jeez.
So
listen,
it's a whole process. Look, they have to take an assessment first before they even get to the interview. Okay. But so it's very cumbersome to have to wear a mask to do something that you've been doing for years without having to do it. And I understand that, it's for protecting us, it's for protecting them, but it kind of hinders you because sometimes, if you're talking to a person, a lot of people don't speak clearly as it is. And then their mouths are muffled, sound like they got a mouthful of mashed potatoes because they got this mask on. Then I'm over there acting like, say that one more time? Like I need a translator. And it's just frustrating. So when I'm in my office, I don't wear my mask. Literally, as soon as I unlock the door to my office, I snatch that mask off and drop it in the garbage can, okay? When I'm in my office, now I have 9 other staff members in my department. When I'm walking through my office, going back and forth to their offices, I'm not going to put on no mask. Now, if y'all got the Rona, I'm going to need y'all to stay at home, okay? But I can't be up in there sweating, upper lip just dripping, trying to work because of a mask. So, like Joanna, I refuse to live in fear. It is, if this is the last day, if the good Lord is coming to get us, then He coming to get us, whether I got a mask on or not. So I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm not wearing no mask in my car, and when I see people wearing masks in their car, this is what I do. I just look at them like is Rona? Like I really want to roll down my window and say, "Is Rona sitting next to you?" Tell her why do you got that mask on? Like really? They doing the most. So
I think they just forget to take them off. Because there was a lady
oh no,
who had an
you
accident.
get to take them off when you can barely breathe.
Oh no!
I get it. There was a lady who had an accident because she passed out because she was riding with her mask on. It's like, okay, she was nuts.
But I see people like running in them and everything. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I can't do that. I can't do that. I'm not gonna do that.
First of all, this body is made for a lot of things. Running is not one of them, so that would never have been an option. But I understand what you're saying.
You nuts. Okay, well, let's talk about how things look different with kids in school. I don't have any babies or children in school.
These kids need to go to school. They need to go to school. They need to go right now. They need to stay. They need to stay overnight. When can we take them?
However, I spoke to my little sister. She's a school teacher in Indiana. And they are deciding if they are going to either go back to school full time, stay online full time, or hybrid. You go to school a couple times a week, and do the other days online. And she works in a school district where there may be some educational challenges. And, she used example, there was, there's, who your students are who have issues or troubles learning. They may not be the brightest in math, or maybe they're not the smartest in whatever. Well, these students, honey, they getting straight A's online, honey, because the parents is doing that homework. I think that's pretty sad, because, you're putting your child at a disadvantage, So I can, she is really wanting to go back to school. She says just a difference when you can physically be with your students and put hands on them, and and encourage them, and nurture them in a different way than you can over the computer. I don't know. I mean, all the kids together, I just don't know how that's going to be as far as COVID-19. However, I think from an educational standpoint, the children do probably need to be in school. And so I don't know if they're going to have to wear masks, but you told me your children are wearing masks, correct?
My children are. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they're in a private school. They did have opened it the summer. They opened up for summer camp. So what they did is that they kind of limited the amount of student that was allowed in each class. Mm-hmm. They are required to wear masks for the whole time that they're there. I mean, a 3 and a 5-year-old, I was like, that's never going to happen. But apparently they're doing it. So they are required to wear masks. They've cut out pretty much all the extracurricular activities. Like, they don't go places anymore. They do still play outside, but it's like usually in twos. Like, it's a small group. It's not. And then, once they go out, they have to sanitize everything, and then the next group can go out. So they take their temperatures when they get there, and they said that they can do temperatures up to 3 times a day. So, I think they're taking all the necessary precautions, but as a parent, it's like, I hope this is not the new normal, because I feel like I don't want my kids to have to do this, I don't want this to be their memory of school, in mass, and having to not be able to play with your friends, and, social distancing, because they do social distance in their class. Their desks are 6 feet apart. And it's like, for a 3 and a 5-year-old to have to, wrap their mind around that, I think it's a bit much. I understand it, though. Now, on the flip side, as a parent, I'm just going to be real. I need my children to go to school. I ain't gonna lie. I love my kids. I'm not willing to sacrifice them, and Lord knows I will pull them out if I thought they were in any kind of danger. But I think for their school, that they're doing everything they can to try to make sure that the kids are safe.
And for your sanity, and them to live a healthy, productive life, children need to go to school.
It has been a lot. For one, I mean, I'm not a homeschooler, and that's something that I've had to do. And just said, my child is in private school, so they transitioned them to Zoom meetings, which was fine. But when you're working a full-time job from home, and then you're also trying to homeschool, I mean, literally, I thought I was about to lose my mind for a minute there. Having to schedule around his classes via Zoom with my work schedule, having to do the assignments during the day if he had questions. I mean, he's 5. He's going to have questions. He doesn't know how to do a lot of these things. So trying to navigate having that type of schedule was a lot. Now, just like I said, I'm not about putting my kids in harm's way, but I know as far as being able to teach them, that is not my anointing. I mean, I have a new appreciation for teachers, okay?
Y'all gonna get in whatever they want.
I was like, I have no idea how these wonderful people do this every day with multiple children. So it was a challenge for me. I'm not gonna lie, it was a challenge for me. I would gladly pull them out if I thought they were in an unsafe environment. But if you ask me, yes, I would like for school to open back up so they can go, so the teachers who know what they're doing can teach them the right type of way. But it's just interesting for me. It really does hurt my heart to have my kids have to have this as a memory for school. Another thing with the county that I'm in, that they also have giving the schools an option that you can either go online, or you can go in person, or just like you said, you can do a hybrid. But they will also be required to wear masks while they're on the buses. And also they'll be required to, as they're transitioning from classroom to classroom, especially the older kids, they're being required to wear masks then. But I just heard something today that I was like, wow, this is, this could get pretty serious, is that our county is also thinking about making it mandatory that anytime you leave your house that you have to wear a mask if we can't get the numbers down. So, I mean, this new normal is like, every day there's something different, there's something new, there's changes that we have to adjust to. But yeah, my heart goes out to my kids, because I know they're not used to this. This is not the memory that I want to have for them with school. But I think it's been stressful on all parties, the parents and the children. And I have other friends who have older kids, and I had this one friend who has an older kid, and her child, literally, he had to do like 50 pages of homework each night. And she's like, I'm working full time from home. I can't even stop to help him. So she's like, I'm behind on getting his assignments in, because first he has to do them and then I have to check them, but I'm working full time. So I don't even have time to even check 50 pages, even after work, to do, as much of the stuff I need to do. So I know there's a struggle on that end too. It's not just the smaller kids, but the older kids are also struggling with, just trying to navigate this new normal. So it's just a lot. It really is a lot. As I said, I'm not about putting my kids in harm's way, but if at all possible, we could get them back in school, safely, I would support that.
Okay, so as a single parent working outside of the home with 3 children in school, I'm need them to open up. I'm dropping my kids off at school on Monday. I don't care who they got to go. Just say it. So what we ran into at the end of the school year, because they came home for spring break and they never went back. It was hard, not only for the kids, it was hard for the teachers. It was definitely stressful for me as a parent. I am not an educator. As Joanna said, that is not my college. That is not my ministry. It's not for me. That's why I buy everything on the school supply list every year. And I buy extras because I want to thank you for what you're doing. And so when we were doing our homeschooling, you have 3 individuals at home while I'm at work, and I have to call them every hour, or they have to call me every hour to make sure that we're all on the same page. The first couple of weeks, it was, you picked up worksheets and at the school, and they were doing those. But as they realized they weren't going back to school, then they transitioned everything to online learning. Well, if you can't log in and you have a very sensitive child who can't get onto his system one day, he freaks out. So when you call him,
David.
No, it was Adam. It was Adam.
Oh.
Yes, Adam loves school. So when he couldn't get on, he was very frustrated. And so one of the things, the teachers tried to work with us as much as possible. They were very helpful. But I just found it difficult because, okay, they're doing work all day, and then I have to come home from work and check the work that they did to make sure that the work that they did is correct. And, I don't do math. I have a master's in human resource management because I don't do math. I'm ready for my kids to go back to school. Even I don't want them to be in harm's way, but I want them to be educated. And I'm not the one to educate them.
I just say, from a homeowner standpoint, I'm rooting for them kids to go to school online, so baby, I ain't got to pay as much property tax.
Oh,
Listen, there should be a rule. Okay, when you buy a house in a community that you got to pay property tax because of the school, if I ain't got no kids, I need a discount. Little Ray is not standing in front of my house at the bus stop. I don't have no little Ray, okay?
But you had a Ray, so
a long
you got the joint and you done had one. So look, we don't all pay for your Ray. Now you gotta pay for ours.
I paid for my own Ray. I paid property taxes in my school district at the time. I deserve a break. The next time, peace and hair grease.